Okay, let me see why the volume is so low. Low. Oh, here it is. Yes. Hello. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. We have been for a month delving into the farmer's mind, exploring concepts like hardiness and climate zones. We have discussing technology and the future of farm. From now on, in this class, we're going to deal now with numbers, with analytical procedures. The first step to understand agricultural water management is to understand the weather. And for us, that means evapotranspiration. In the previous lecture, we discussed several concepts regarding that, but also we showed that there are many equations. Okay. Now, for a location like Utah, we are in one of the lowest hardiness zones according to the USDA map that we're seeing here, but it's not the same hardiness zone everywhere. We have that central Utah has a higher level of hardiness, 6A, 6B, and St. George is about 9A, 9B, which means patterns on frost, winter duration, and growing cycle are different. That means ET everywhere is different. So the idea is that in this part of the class, we will evaluate what are these amounts of evapotranspiration, potential evapotranspiration happening in these across Utah. So we're going to choose 3 sites. We're going to choose Logan. We're going to choose a second location, which is in, do you know Fillmore? Yes. From Fillmore to the east, there is a city called Delta. And I did my thesis there, my PhD thesis over there. So I'm very familiar with the area and the way of production over there, mostly alfalfa. And then we will choose St. George as another site to evaluate how weather influence on the plant water requirements. So we're going to start this from scratch, from zero. I know that you already know how the concept of evapotranspiration. I want to find the different or the influence of climate on evapotranspiration. And I also want to evaluate the influence of the different models of evapotranspiration on the values. Okay, so we're going to start with a simple example, but first I need you to go to look for this software in your computers. It's RefET Idaho. Have any of you used this software?
Is it on Canvas? Because I downloaded all the software on Canvas.
You can download it from here too. No, this is a piece of software that the Utah Climate Center uses to validate their calculations of ET. So if we go to, well, let's first download this software. It should show you a link to the Kimberly Research and Extension Center. Okay. And well, it doesn't allow me to download it from here. I need to use another browser. Let me see. Did I put it on Canvas? I should have put it there. This is crop what? No, it's not on canvas. Okay, why is telling me I'm in Safari? Oh, well, let's see. I need to download Firefox. So it's going that the website is going to show you a formula, the form where you fill up your name and your some details that they will send you a link, I think, to your email so you can download the software. So let's do that. While I solve this issue with Safari. Okay, ref T Idaho. Okay, there we go. Contact information, your email, Utah, US education. Okay. Okay, so you will
use the question of nature.
So let's see. Here is the link to download the software. Okay. Default up. The software is very friendly. So let's install it. Why?
خش عليه دوس عليه ننزل وننزل على الجهاز
Okay. Why this software? This software was developed by Dr. Richard Allen, who has spent his life studying evapotranspiration, potential and actual evapotranspiration, from the very fundamentals with measurement with lysimeters, eddy covariance, and nowadays with satellite images and drones. So he is an authority on these topics, and his team developed this software. And the idea of using this software is let's say you are starting a new, or you are looking to monitor or to support water management in any canal companies here in Utah or in Egypt. By having the first parameter that we need to monitor is the potential or reference ET. We need to know what are the rates, because that allow us to use from the simple solution like crop coefficients all the way to sophisticated, let's say, remote sensing tools. Now, not everywhere there is a weather station. Let's check how we are in Utah. Let's go to the Utah Climate Center. The Utah Climate Center is managed by Utah State University, and they are in charge of installation, supporting, and making the data available of weather stations all across the state. Does it mean all the stations are the same? No. There are stations that are focused on insect occurrence, others that support the estimation of or the development of fruit, freeze dates, which is important for us regarding when we can start planting crops, and agricultural weather. If in the tab called climate data, we click on Utah weather, we will be presented with this window. This window is showing us all the weather networks that are implemented in the state of Utah. Some of them come from a specific program or organization like USU. Others come from the state of Utah, and others come from other organizations. In general, all of these networks are going to work well for us. What is the main requirement for a weather station, for an agricultural weather station? Well, there are some considerations for that. Not all, for example, we could go to Best Buy and buy a tiny weather station that we could put next to the wall of our house or on a barn or any location. But an agricultural weather station, and that is the topic of our visitor on Thursday. Must respond to certain characteristics. Let me see if we get a nice picture regarding a weather station. I think this is much better. Okay. This is an agricultural weather station. The major characteristic of agricultural weather stations is that they are surrounded by vegetation, like either grass or trees or cornfields or orchard trees. They're always surrounded by vegetation. There are no buildings. There are no artificial or man-made structures nearby it. In fact, there are considerations regarding how close a barn could be towards a weather station. There are specific considerations on the height of the sensors, the frequency at which the data should be collected, and how often the instrument should be maintained in order to give us the highest quality of data for us to calculate ET. And that's the job of the Utah Climate Center. Our job is to use this data to calculate evapotranspiration. Now, in the case of Utah, and many states, this job of maintaining, of installing, also includes the calculation of ET. If we go back to our website of the Utah Climate Center, let's look at any weather station. St. George is an area where we have extreme weathers. So if you click to any of these websites, you can look at the data produced by this site. I choose one site called Modena. I had the opportunity to visit this site. Is many agricultural farms surrounded by fallow areas with minimal vegetation, bare soil locations. So this data is transmitted through radio, through telemetry systems, through satellite communication to a database here on campus. So the data is presented this way. In this figure, we have minute data, information collected at minute level. We have data collected, or we can see charts presenting this data at hourly scale and at daily scale. Do you think for agricultural activities we need minute data? For any of our calculations for water balance, we need minute data? What could be the reasoning behind it to get this level of frequency on the data? It might be related with freezing information. Remember when we talk about farmers, when they decide to plant, they always need to make sure that the last freezing of the winter is over. So this information at minute, at hourly data can help with that, to track to cold periods that are still happening in short periods of time. But in our calculations of ET, we need hourly data, not minute data. And we will use hourly data to do our calculations. So what we're looking at is temperature and dew point. We have relative humidity. We have wind speed, precipitation, solar radiation, and solar radiation is already telling us a lot of information. We see the diurnal cycle there, the spikes versus the zero values, 0 hour night, but we don't see that every spike is similar to the other. What does it mean? Clouds. How often clouds are passing by during this period in time, from January 9 to February 7. Interesting, the data coming from St. George is arriving, let me see, it's allowed, yep, 2:15. We are, yep, it's about an hour delay data. That's good. We have a system that is well connected across the state. Now, here is the tab that I wanted to show you, evapotranspiration. Look that the data is not minute level anymore. It's daily or hourly. For water balance and ET, do we need hourly or daily data?
ET? think we need yearly.
Well, yearly is a broader scale, but between these two, hourly and daily. Daily. Why?
They are close to each other.
But
Depends what you're using it for. I think like most irrigation scheduling use daily.
yes, if we're going to solve the water balance, we need a cycle and a period of time that completes a cycle. For us, is from midnight to midnight. That's our cycle. So for that, we use daily. But then why we calculate hourly? This is mostly to deal with, for example, satellite data or products that rely on satellite or drones require information that happened at the moment the drone was flying. The drone is not flying the whole day, it's just flying midday, 11, 1 p.m. So we need information at that time, at that hour when the drone was flying. So hourly data help us with that, but for our water balance analysis, we will use daily. Okay, so the job is done for us in this case. We could drop the RefT and just go with our lives. We see that we have ETO and ETR calculated for us in this graph. So the only thing we need to do is download it. So if we want to do calculations, we can specify the period of time we want to calculate. And off we go, we're done. But what if you are in an area, and if we go back to the Utah weather, what if you are in an area where there is no weather station and you are installing a new one and it's not maintained or operated by Utah State? Which can happen. Let's say they found a good water source somewhere near the border with Nevada. So everything that you're going to do is brand new. You need to put or the company or the interested parties need to put their develop their fields, installing the irrigation system, and put their weather station there. So the idea is what happened in those conditions. So RefT allows us to do the calculation that the Utah Climate Center is doing it. So what we're going to learn today is how to use the software, how to get the data for the software, and how to evaluate those results, or how to do the calculation of those results. Okay. So let's use the same example so we get the same numbers. We're going to use near St. George. If you zoom in the map, there is a location called Modena. Click on that one. Go to view station data. What sort of information we need to calculate ET? Well, we need the data that is recorded by the sensors, but also we need the location, the coordinates. We need the elevation too. So let's see. We see that we have two options, English and metric. Let me close this. We can use metric units. Let's see, where are the charts? There we go. Now are they in metric? Oh, is it a bug? We don't have ET if I change it to metric. So let's go to English. Yep, we have it. Let's download last year total data from the 1st of January of 2022 to the last day of 2022. Okay, let's in our case, we don't need minute data, we need hourly data. And I'll show you why. It says enable pop-ups, open, and here is the data that we need.
How can I select the city material?
Okay, go to the map. Yeah, let's see, Utah weather. Go to the lower left corner of the state.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay. So click on the station. You will be presented with 3 options. Click on view station data. You can keep it in English units. In the downloads date at the bottom, change it to the 1st of January to 2022 till December 31, 31st, 2022. Select,
English units or
here it says English in for or on top of the data charts. Okay, so everybody was able to download the file. That's what we need.
The daily one?
Hourly. Hourly, because if you do hourly, were you able to get it?
I got it, but I think
Yep.
something from
Oh, it's not in columns. Okay, okay. When it's not in columns, select column A. Okay, go to data and goes to text to columns. Okay, there you say select the delimited option. Next, you are going to choose either tab, semicolon, comma, space. And for example, if I put space, it shows me how it's going to separate it. I don't want to separate the hours, so probably yours is separated by commas. Tab.
most of it. Is it something?
Probably just check commas and then uncheck the tab.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to hit finish up. Commas.
Separated.
I think.
Don't worry, just one.
All right. Yes, it was, you need to separate by commas. All right. All right, so now I have columns. I have names for the columns. Okay. Pretty much everything is quite evident. Let's look at the columns names. The first column is going to give us the date and time. The second column is the station ID in the network. ETO and ETR, remember, these are English units. We need to keep that in mind when we use ref ET. ETO and ETR are ET in inches per hour. The next one is RSO is solar radiation. EA average is water vapor. RH, mean and max, are relative humidity. This is TD average and TD max and TD mean. They are temperature that occur during that hour. We have also solar radiation in megajoules. Then we have air temperature average, maximum, minimum. Not sure what is int average, wet average, wind direction, a second air temperature, battery voltage, and this is important when on a weather station, if the battery voltage is low, it messes up with the readings of the sensors. So this is a good way to check if the number, like as a person maintaining the weather station, you check the battery level. That has to be around 12 volts or higher. If the voltage is lower, that data might not be correct. Precipitation, wind direction average, wind speed average, which we need. So we have soil temperature at 4 inches, soil temperature at 8 inches, solar W, not sure. Do we need all of this to calculate reference ET? No, we need way less. Okay, so now that we have our data, we need to make sure that the data is complete. How many hours are in a year?
Example, 3600.
So it's 24 hours times 365. Okay. I need to have that number of rows. Otherwise, I'm missing data. Let's double check. Shift Control arrow down. Let me see why I don't have my.
Doesn't start except for 6.
So I have. Let me see if I can fix this. Taskbar settings. Okay. Okay. Let me move this guy. It says 8,761. That's the number of rows. How many I calculated? So I have one extra.
No,
It gives you midnight on January 1st, 2022.
Okay, so I got that extra hour there.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the record is complete. What happened if it were less? Like I'm missing 10 values. I mean, I still can calculate it, but I should complete the record, like putting -999, like a number on that hour that is missing. So the software can recognize that that hour doesn't, or that specific hour doesn't have information. So it should ignore it. So just to have complete records on the weather day. Okay, now another check. We have, where is it? Solar in megajoules. What should be the behavior of solar megajoules? What should be the, if I plot that data, how it should behave?
Like a day pattern.
Yes. The good thing about Excel is that if I select a column and I select a chart, I get this, right? Can you tell if the data is good or not?
Not every point, but you can see that it's mostly good for the shape of the.
There are,
shape.
yes. The shape should follow this sinusoidal shape, or it should be concave, with the peak in the summer months. Second, not every day reaches the outer border because there are clouds. So those days, you see that the values were lower. So you don't see also values that jump too high from the curve that the maximum values are describing. So if I draw a curve around here, I don't see a value that is jumping up here. And that is an indication that the data is good. The other thing is that sometimes, for example, solar radiation, can solar radiation be negative? It's either 0 at night or a value during the day. So another check is that you see the minimum value here, it's 0. If I had negative values, then I have concerns about the data. Okay, so that's just what we're doing right now is called QA/QC, quality assurance, quality control of the data. Remember, we are responsible of what data we use to calculate ET. The Utah Climate Center do a really nice job keeping these guys clean, but I've seen data where we have negative solar radiation. So before putting the data in, we always have to check it out. Okay, air temperature, average, max, and mean. I will plot those two. So I select those columns, go to charts, select lines. What do you think? Is this data good? We're looking at temperatures now.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. What are the criteria about temperature, air temperature?
Should go up with the season,
Very good.
go down like.
The winter season. Okay.
Should have night and day pattern.
Yes. So if we like delve into the data, we will see ups and downs. One thing that tells me that this data is good is that I don't see low temperatures values during the summertime. I've seen data where we're in the middle of the summer, but there are spikes downwards. Okay. And in what we do in those cases, let's say we have 1 or 2.
You check the battery voltage at this point.
Sure. Okay. Let's say the battery voltage was bad. Okay. Now you know that those points are bad. How you fix the data?
The pollution, the other data.
Interpolation. Yes. So when you miss one or two values, you can interpolate. You can take the average of the good ones and assign it to it. But if you are missing a day, what if you are missing 12 hours? At that point, it's hard to interpolate. Okay, it's a huge window. So you rather put minus 999, minus 999 for those records. So always when you get data, just double check in Excel very quickly. You don't need to tell the axis. As long as you know what you're plotting and what you're looking for. Yeah, like you're here, I'm looking for spikes. Also, the other case will be that I have like 120 Fahrenheit spike somewhere in the data. That will be a bad sign. So I will have to remove that point, either interpolate or assign a minus 999 value. So that's good. Okay. So we need that value. Let's look for wind speed average. What's the pattern for wind?
Is there a pattern?
Very good. There is no pattern for wind, but statistically, it's a log normal distribution. Why?
Well,
The statistical distribution of wind is a log normal. Temperature and solar radiation have a normal distribution, but not wind. Why? What are the most frequent wind speeds in a year? The high values or the low values?
Low.
Yes. So statistically, you are going to get, and the extreme winds are the less. No, normal. This is important because if you are doing a statistical analysis on data, this behavior, if you try to apply t-test or ANOVA on this data, you have to rely that this is it has a different distribution. Okay, let's see how it looks like. Okay. Okay. As you say, no pattern. I cannot tell. It seems that early in the year seems to be more windy. Okay. It seems, but I cannot confirm it unless I look at other weather stations nearby and confirm that pattern. What I like though is there are very few zero wind in the data. There is always a tiny bit of wind. And this data, I'm not seeing a solid line like when we were looking at solar radiation. I don't see, I see tiny values of wind there, which is expected when you are when you have an instrument outdoors. So those are some basic QA/QC on the data, because now we can organize this data to put it into RefET and calculate all the ET equations that we want. Okay. All right. Questions so far? Because now we're going to pass to this RefET software. What questions would you have? Do you have a weather station network in Egypt?
no, we have, but this is not for all of us. I think it's we have to pay money.
But we can try.
So it would be nice to compare, because Logan, Delta, St. George, Egypt. So to see the extreme weather condition. Okay. Okay. But The analysis is the same. You organize the data, make sure it's complete, make sure that there are not biases, outliers in the data, trends on the data, behavior of the data. And at this moment you say, okay, data is good. Okay, RefET. RefET has a manual. Where is the manual? It's in your Canvas. It's RefET manual. I'm going to show you the fast way to implement RefET, but there is a manual for it that I recommend you to have it. And whenever you run into issues, check the manual. Because there might be issues, especially when you are replacing your data with -999, the sum of the ET for that day might show low compared to the day before and the day after. So maybe that day should be totally discarded. And the ET, the final ET for the day, should be interpolated from the day before and the day after. So here are some very interesting things like what to do when the data is missing. Time step is going to be calculated daily or hourly. Definition files that we're going to go over. Final results. We're going to do also, this version of RefET allows you to do what we did, the QA/QC. It has a tool to check if your final result also is good. Okay, so there is a manual here that we won't be using for this example. Okay, save that file in somewhere, the Excel file, save it in a folder, somewhere you can remember later. RefET sample. And give it a name to the file, a name that you can remember. Remember that now is your data. It's 2022 Modena Orly weather data, English units. So by giving it a good name, I can remember from where it is, which year was the frequency of the data, and the units of the data. If you are ready, open RefET. Again, Richard Allen developed this software. So the first thing that RefET is going to ask you after the acknowledgement, or when you click proceed, is going to ask you for where is the data. Okay, now remember that our data is not ready yet. There are too many columns. We don't need all of them. Also, the RefET and Excel formatting of dates and hours don't like to each other. Okay, so it's going to ask us for the data file. Where is the data? So for now, we're going to go back to our file. Okay, what I need to do to use RefET, we need to transform this column into dates and hours that RefET can understand. These rows on top of the file, they're okay. RefET is smart enough to toss them away. But if I click this entire Excel, and I go to data, no, sorry, I go to format and I say general, what happened with my dates and hours? They are now in Excel format. So RefET reads these numbers and that cannot make sense of this. So we need to convert, we need to create columns. We need to create day, month, year, hour. Day, month, year, hour. And you might be familiar with the function day, with the function month, function year, function hour. And once you have them for all of them, you can double click and it will calculate the cells for you.
Okay. Okay for that. Right. This step again.
Okay. Once you put the formula for day, month, year, and hour, you select the 4 cells. You go to this corner until the icon changes to a black cross and double click. Easy? Yes, easy. Very good. Okay, now I can start tossing away columns that I don't need. Do I need the station ID to calculate ET? No, you can delete it. Do I need ETO and ETR? Well, for comparison, right? The solar radiation? Yes. Water vapor? Yes. Relative humidity max, mean? Sure. TD, what is TD? And that's something we need to figure out because here, after solar megajoules, I have air temperature average max mean. So I don't know what is TD. Dew point? Okay, then I need dew point. What is int T average? Maybe I don't need it. Wet average, and I don't have data in this column, so I will delete it. Wind direction. We don't need wind direction. We need wind speed. So I can delete. Why I need to delete is because in RefET, we need to tell the software what information is in every column. If you have 40 columns, you have to enter information for 40 columns. The less you have, the better. Do I need the battery? No, I don't need a battery. Precipitation, I might need precipitation. Wind direction average, delete. Wind speed, wind maximum. Here, when this column about precipitation and has no data, delete. Soil temperature, I don't need soil temperature. Let's see. Sea level, these columns that are empty, delete. Wet state, don't need it. Soil, volumetric water content, I don't need that. Precipitation accumulated, don't think so. Okay. Okay. I have removed some of them. Okay. Now, but remember, we created formulas. Again, the software do not recognize formulas or Excel formats. So I might need to save it again. Save as, but I need the file not to be in Excel. I need the file to be in CSV. And I'm going to give it a name similar to one. And I'm going to add the word clean at the end. And I'm going to say save.
When I put one for day, one for month, and this and the click double click doesn't calculate it for me.
Okay, let me.
So everybody was able to replicate what I did? No, but what is the formula? Okay. I'll select the first cell. For the same for month. You have, yeah, you have to.
This is fine. Why do that?
Okay, so we need to add the columns, right? Select B, right click, cells, and create 4 columns.
Okay, but why?
Because if you click on this corner, go to Open General, select General, what happened to your dates?
Yeah, what's it?
This is what happened is Excel to describe dates and hours, they use their own format. When the software doesn't read date, it reads these values. It doesn't make it for the software, this doesn't say 1st of January of 22 detail. So what we need to create in the columns are the values of a column hour, day, month, year. And we're just preparing the data. We spent a day just for you. Once you do it once, you will do it forever.
Okay. I want to see all the data because you sound couldn't.
Okay, this.
We don't need any precipitation.
I don't need the accumulated precipitation in any column that is empty, delete it.
Precipitation, TB it's all zero, so
Let's see. Here is precipitation.
it's STSV.
Yes, so once you eliminate the columns, go to File, Save As, give it a new name, and save it as CSV. Okay, questions so far? Calculating it this way is text. The first time is like this. Understanding the QA/QC, completion of data, eliminating the data that you're not going to use. After that, it's everything in the software.
And the software it's not installed yet. I don't know why.
Okay, well, then that's something that you can do between today until the next class. So make sure you can install the software.
I installed it, but
Let me see.
this
Yes. Yes. And close. Okay. Graffiti. Okay.
answer. أعمل إيه؟ السؤال هتلاقيه افتح بس التاسك تلاقيه فوق خالص. أزرق كده فتحت.
Okay, questions? No. So imagine doing this every month for every station for youth. No, so this is all coded now. The Utah Climate Center implement the formulas because it's formulas that are in papers. So they retrieve the data and internally they have a computer calculating these values every hour for all the stations. And they make the data free. This is a really good thing. Peru should change their mindset. They also sell the data. Even if you're doing a thesis or a homework, you have to pay for the data. So it doesn't promote testing the data or learning new things with the data. Okay, we're on the hour now, so we will stop here. We will follow up on the next lecture with RefET. Okay, so let me pause the video now.